All right, everyone. Welcome back to Prequel, Origin Stories and Inflection Points. I am Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation, and you are in for an absolute treat today. We have some amazing entrepreneurs that are going to tell some amazing stories about ending up in amazing places. We have some of the recipients of Google's first ever Latino Founders Fund. And I can promise you, by the end of this episode, you're going to want to support. You're going to want to support, right? Here's why it matters. At Goodie Nation, we're focused on what we call the relationship gap. Now, this is the lack of connection between diverse founders and social entrepreneurs and those that are key influencers in tech. So what does that mean when they don't have those type of relationships? It means they have lack of access to financial capital. And we all know that's been a big thing over the last number of years. But it also means they have lack of access to things like users, customers, and partners, and lack of access to talented people to hire. This all leads to higher levels of stress, which means that they are less likely to reach their potential and realize their dreams. And we don't want that, right? We don't want that. Now, you have the ability out there to close that relationship gap a little bit more, and it's by listening to their origin stories. I believe that by finding out a way to connect with another human based on how they came to be, it's a great way to begin deep relationships. So as you listen to these amazing stories, figure out ways that you're a little bit related to them, right? You can see commonalities in their stories in yours. So said a little bit differently, you see a little bit of yourself in them. So let's get right to it. Let's hear from the founders themselves. We're going to do a little bit of introductions before we get into their longer origin story. So first off, we want to kick it over to Leslie, then we'll go Liyani after that.
Hi, I'm Leslie. I'm the founder and CEO of Carefully, checking in from Brooklyn, New York. Carefully is a platform for parents to connect with people they trust to exchange childcare and organize playdates. At a time when childcare is becoming increasingly unaffordable and accessible and stressful, Carefully's goal is to help parents save money, connect with their community, and make sure that they can organize that care with ease through our intuitive, thoughtful native app experience. Thanks.
Awesome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Liyani Rodriguez. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Rattle, and I'm coming at you from Pacifica, California, which is a suburb of San Francisco. At Rattle, we are building tools to make virtual conversations at work more equitable, more engaging, and more psychologically safe, because more than ever right now, it's so important for all of us to feel seen and feel heard.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Tlacael. I'm the co-founder of Sunhouse, a music technology company based in New York City. We are building the future of music making tools for musicians. We have a product that's been on the market for a while that's found some great success with drummers. It's a sensor and software technology that allows you to supercharge your drum set to turn it into the most advanced and creative tool for drummers to interact with computers in all kinds of ways. So to control synths, to control lighting, to essentially, if you are very good at the drums, suddenly you're very good at making music on a computer.
Nice. Alvaro.
Hi, I'm Alvaro, CEO and co-founder of Pivot. We're a Miami-based company, and we're a B2B marketplace that allows independent stores to sell products without having to purchase inventory. And we give brands who sell in those stores all the information regarding their inventory, sales, and even access to their end customer data. So basically, we are trying to level the playing field for all the independent stores and independent brands out there.
Nice. And then Tanya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tanya Menendez, co-founder and CEO of Snowball Wealth. Snowball Wealth is a community-first mobile app that moves people from debt to wealth. So you can think of us like Strava for debt, in the sense that we have a community, we have social money challenges, and people also receive a personalized financial roadmap to know the next step in their financial journey.
Awesome. Let's get right into these stories. Leslie, let's kick it over to you. I mean, how did you get here? what does the founder journey look like for you?
Sure. So I'll start in 2016. So in 2016, I'm a single mom. My son was about 3 at the time, and really I was just trying to find a way to survive being a single working mom in New York City. And I had this naive idea that play dates would give me a break. However, I soon learned that they came with their own obligations. So when I was a kid, I don't have a lot of, at the time, I didn't have a lot of friends that had kids. So my sort of recollection of play dates was when I was a kid, and like a play date was really just going over to someone's house down the street and knocking on the door and like going out to play with them, or maybe getting picked up from school. But like today in New York, like a play date is having the parents come over and entertaining them while the kids are playing happily on the floor. For me, as an introvert, that's not really a break. So I was like, I thought that there had to be a better way, and not just for me, but for all the parents out there, especially the introverts. We needed to figure out, how do you remove this obligation and guilt that comes with going over to play dates, because it's not working. We all have too much to do. We when the kids are occupied, we want to take a break. And so that's how this side project was really born in 2016. And I ended up kind of putting it on hold when I got a new job, and didn't have time for it. But fast forward to 2019, I ended up getting laid off, and I was burned out, disillusioned with the corporate life and being a VP of engineering for too long. And I was kind of caught up in this cycle of insanity where I was doing the same thing, expecting a different outcome. And I kind of took a step back from my life and said, I have to like change my trajectory, because I'm not fulfilled. I'm not happy. But I still really had always had this idea of Carefully in the back of my head, and I believed in it. So I kind of said I was going to focus on that for a while and see if I could make something of it. So I decided to dust it off, kind of figure out how to turn it into something more. And in March of 2020, I was ready to start doing some user testing, some user research, talk to people about having some play dates, some organizing some care on there. And I think we all know what happened. In March of 2020, people were not organizing play dates or exchanging childcare in person. They were dealing with quarantine and pandemics, and there was this childcare crisis was sort of bubbling up in everyone's mind, and I was feeling it inside of my house, my living room. So at that point, we really just rolled with the punches. We started adding virtual events. We started kind of connecting with small businesses to see how we could help keep the kids entertained at home while the parents were having to try to work and juggle. But I also kind of took a step back, and I realized like this was not just a side project to help me avoid small talk and find some play dates, but it really had this opportunity to make an impact for people at a much larger scale. And that's what inspires me in general. That's what I want to do. I want to drive cultural change and solve hard problems. And so that's when I really dug into it. And we saw over the course of the pandemic that over 4.5 million women were forced out of the labor force. Most of them were Black and Latino women, and many of them won't return to work because of the lack of childcare options. So these women are not just leaving their current jobs, they're also sacrificing hundreds of thousands of dollars in lifetime earning potential. So, and while these women, especially those that are in lower income brackets, are the ones that are most impacted, and feeling the pain most deeply, a lot of the solutions in the childcare space are still targeted at high income families. And so with Carefully, we're really trying to create a solution that's prioritizing the needs of these overlooked communities. So we create an inclusive solution, and we create a more caring economy. And that's really what drives me and what inspires me, and why I'm really excited to be part of the Latino Founders Fund.
Awesome. So how can people get in contact with you? They want to use product and all that type of stuff.
Oh, sorry. So my email is leslie@carefulllyapp.com. You can go to our site, carefulllyapp.com. download the app. There's a link there. You can also contact me directly through the app. You're automatically connected to me. We're also going to be launching our co-op soon. So if you really want to get involved, you can go to you can get involved in that really soon as well. So
awesome story. I love it. Next up, we have Liyani. I mean, how'd you get here? What does that founder journey look like?
Yeah, thanks, Joey. So this portion of the story, I'm going to start out when I was in my previous career. That's when really things started moving and the idea started coming to me. I was in operational consulting and really knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted something that was more values aligned than what I was really doing at the time. So I was working on a bunch of different business ideas and what I call solopreneur, and just one of those ideas was, how do we easily bring business owners together to brainstorm? Something I needed as a previous consultant. I knew the power of like great strategy consulting meetings and just this concept I loved of immediate ideation. So we started to play with that, tested that, grew that, brought on my co-founder Tex. We launched a Facebook group of people who were just brainstorming together, turned that into a no-code product, brought on our CTO. And throughout this whole time, we had done about 400 brainstorms or so. And we were having these great facilitated conversations. And we were developing how they were structured, how they were facilitated, how long they ran. And essentially what we call this a rattle because it just became such a structured process that seemed to work out really well. And so you'll hear me use rattle as a noun, as a verb, but it's just been such a fun way to play with how we have this great conversation. And this really led to our next inflection point because people were telling us that it wasn't just about the brainstorm, but it was the way they felt when they came into the conversation. They felt like they had fun. They felt like it was productive. They felt like their ideas mattered. And what we discovered that this was so much more than what we actually had started. We solved what was broken in virtual conversations. And I have to say, I don't know when we started that we knew that problem was so pervasive, but obviously as the pandemic happened and as we did this more and more and people came to us and said, we want to take this to many different places. This is why, side note, I'm like just such a believer in building in public because it was folks telling us and then us looking at the data saying, we are looking at virtual conversations here. It's not just about brainstorming. So yeah, there was no fatigue. There was no dread when coming out of a rattle. No like, oh, more and more black screen meetings. It was this energy that was created by and what we had done is we created this safe space. And it's what I say, like to truly engage with one another and to have true collaborations. Something that's needed really in every organization, between teams, between peers. And we started to bring this to other businesses and to teams. Luckily for me, I'm a 5-foot, woman of color. And so feeling seen and heard is something that I personally struggled with and battled throughout my life, especially as I was climbing the corporate ladder. So seeing the opportunity to bring tech to help solve this problem on a mass scale, just really solve that original goal of combining my talents, my education with my values and the things that I'm really passionate about. So that's what brought us here today.
Awesome. So how can people get in contact with you?
Yes. Please check out our website, getrattle.com. And we just launched a new tool that you can use on our website, getrattle.com, for any virtual conversation. So you can have a rattle sidebar if you're wherever you're having your virtual meeting. So check that out, getrattle.com, or please email me, Liyani, Liyani @getrattle.com.
Awesome sauce. Cool. Well, let's go over to New York now to Tlacael. What's your story, sir? How'd you make this thing happen?
All right. Well, I've been a musician for pretty much all my life. It's what brought me to New York City. I was a jazz drummer, but I also have background in mathematics. And after college, I just toured and made records for a long time, which is really what I, wanted to do. I didn't really want to do a PhD or anything like that. And what I really encountered was, I'm an acoustic drummer coming from the jazz tradition, And I like electronic music and hip hop, and I'm working in the studio with electronics and hearing all kinds of sounds and possibilities, and feeling this disconnect between what I can do on my instrument and what can be done with new technologies. And now, the drums, like any acoustic instrument, it's really a physical experience. You think through your body. You can't separate the mind from the body. You can't separate the process of composing away from what it feels like to physically play. And so, trying to use software tools that existed, there was just this kind of gap in ability where I basically have to put down my drumsticks for a few years and become an expert in a completely different modality of music making. And so I went to grad school, and just because I was, indie rock scene died down a little bit in Williamsburg, and needed something else. And I studied music information retrieval and machine learning, and this whole world opened up to me of possibility of ways of connecting these kind of just fundamental ways of making music and thinking about music to a potential future where anything is possible, really, sonically. And so I enrolled my brother and my sister, Tenoch and Tonantzin, to help launch this company, Sunhouse. And we started with a Kickstarter. We started in 2014, just developing. We prototyped for a year, launched a Kickstarter in 2015. It was successful, and we shipped in 2016. And that first product we shipped was called Sensory Percussion. It was a sensor and a software that enabled drummers to control electronic sounds, lights, anything really, through your drumsticks, turning the drums into a very fine-tuned, essentially, a digital controller, symbolic level controller for electronic processes. And it really opened up a new world of music creation, I think, that drummers really responded to. We have some of the biggest drummers in the world using this product. We have a very passionate user base, and there are a lot of drummers now playing solo shows, writing full records, touring, using our product on stage. And we're now in the process of unveiling our new phase in the company, partnership and a slightly different business structure. We've been really hustling, making hardware and software, which is a difficult stretch for a really small company. So we're really excited for the future and where we're going to expand to next. And just a note on, what this really means for me and how I kind of see, where we fit in the ecosystem of music tech. There's not that much focus on, in my opinion, on building new exciting tools for musicians. The kind of all the technologies so far have largely been based around engineering tools. So turning a physical mixer into a digital mixer, into a piece of software. A DAW is essentially what you would find in the control room of a studio. It's not what you would find on the other side of the glass where the musicians are playing. So our interest is in building electronic tools that really speak to musicians and the way they think, and these metaphors of music making, which are much more universal than, the particularities of 20th century music recording technology. Music, it might seem like a niche market, and certainly it is compared to other things, but music making is fundamentally important. And to me, it's crucial that we think about what it's going to look like for music makers going into the future. Do we, AI music making, it's not inevitable. It's not like an automatic arc of music technology that we're just going to let robots make music for us. We have to decide what we want to build and who we want to build it for. And we want to build amazing tools that empower humans to reach their creative potential and really forge the future of the music that we all listen to.
Man, that's also on a number of levels. So one, there's another founder in our program. He actually appeared on this show a few episodes ago. I'm going to connect you. They have a haptic or a device. It's called Palm Plug and stuff like that. Actually based out of Seattle and stuff like that. So definitely want to make a connection. Another thing, I'm super jealous of people that are artists, especially musicians. I can't comprehend how y'all be able to, how you're able to do this amazing stuff. I just don't. My mind doesn't work that way. So super jealous. And it's obviously your talent. And then I think the intersection of the technology piece, man. I mean, just awesome, great story.
Thanks.
So how can people get in contact with you or support or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. Our website, sunhouseinc.com. If you're on our website, there's a chat there and it goes basically to my inbox, but or email me at Tlacael@sunhouse. And that my email address is a Swedish domain, so it just spells sunhouse. So it's sunhou.se.
Nice. There it is. I think perfect segue. Let's go over to Alvaro. How you doing, sir? What's your founder journey like? What's that story?
Absolutely. So I guess I'll start my story about 7 years ago when my co-founder and I started a chain of independent stores in Miami, mostly focused on sustainable brands. And I think that the best part of that job back then was really seeing the impact that we were having on small brands where they were probably having their first retail experience ever. They got to have that first customer feedback and just getting their name out there. But we also learned the hard way what it really means to run physical stores, the inventory risks, the opening seven days a week. So it's a lot of hard work. And around 2019, we came across this concept of retail as a service where we decided we didn't want to buy inventory anymore. And we would rather invite all of the brands that we already had a relationship with to kind of take different spaces in a new store that we set up as a small department store, if you will. And we would give these brands every service that they would ever want, trying to make it almost as if they own the store or at least a piece of the store. So we would give to them, we started building some tech products just to give them access to our live inventory, their live inventory in our store and their sales, even access to their customer data, because we weren't even, touching the customer part. It was all, it was a setup just completely thinking about the brands that were participating. And we just saw a huge appetite for this type of different business model in terms of retail. And then, fast forward to 2020, the pandemic. Obviously, we had to shut all our stores down, and we decided that either we, pivoted somehow. So we basically, my co-founder and I, started to learn how to build some software. And we basically got the same idea of what we were doing in our own store and turn it into a marketplace where we are basically connecting a lot of independent stores all across the country with independent brands that want to have access and want to continue building distribution across the country. So we launched our platform in early 2021. We just built an MVP to see what happened out there, and we got in about 3 to 4 months about 1,000 independent retailers signed up and about 5,000 brands, and we've been doing that ever since.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, we've known each other for a few years now. Crazy during the pandemic, and I love this. I love the resilience in a number of different ways. Man, great to hear your story. Okay, so if you're an independent brand, a retailer, or something like that, how can people get in contact with you?
Very easily through our website, pivotmkt.com, or just follow us on any social media. Again, the handle @pivotmkt.
Awesome. So last but certainly not least, we have Tanya. What's that story? You know the drill at this time.
Yeah. It's been cool hearing everyone else's story too. I'm gonna start at the beginning with what I think has gotten kind of stuck in my head and what keeps me going too. So I grew up in the Bay Area, working class family, grew up in Hayward. And growing up working class really left an impression on me because I saw that even as my parents made more money, they still had a lot of financial stress and never really got the hang of building generational wealth. So when I graduated college, I wanted to work in finance as a result and wanted to just know more about the financial services industry. So I went to work at Goldman Sachs after college. While I was in New York, I started 2 businesses that became profitable, which was like really exciting for me as like a young 20-year-old person. So my first business was a leather goods company. I was 22 years old. That's what got me to like leave my corporate job. I got that business into our products into Nordstrom, Henry Bendel's, a bunch of other stores and boutiques. That business inspired me to start my first tech business, which was a marketplace for American factories. And I had no business being a tech entrepreneur, right? Like I didn't have a tech degree. I didn't know anyone that had started a tech business, but I knew that it was a need that I had and that likely other businesses had. So I decided to take kind of the leap of faith and start, my first tech business with my co-founder at the time. And that was really exciting. We got it into we were able to raise money. We were able to get 200,000 businesses to join our platform. It was a marketplace for American factories. It eventually hit 7 figures in revenue and we became profitable. So it was really exciting to be a part of that journey and to, see my ideas come to life. And, I decided to step away from that business after 5 years working on it. And I was really excited to start a new business, particularly in the financial wellness space. And really what I saw, I was thinking back at, my journey and thinking about building wealth and building generational wealth and still how difficult it was to figure out the steps that it takes to kind of get out of debt and start building wealth. And I really saw that was the problem that I wanted to spend the next 5 to 10 years solving. So I decided to move to California, look for a new co-founder, and I really set up, out in this journey to solve this problem. I partnered with a technical co-founder here in the Bay Area, Pam. She's amazing, my ideal co-founder, and then we started out as a student debt app, and it was bad luck because obviously that didn't work. Like the pandemic hit, student loan payments were paused. The business was failing, right? Like it just was not working. So I knew we had to pivot. And so what we decided to do was take 400 of our super users, put them into a community and really understand how their needs were changing over time. And over the course of a few months, we were really able to understand kind of intimately how their needs were changing, how people get stuck in kind of financial situations that they can't get out of, and how to get them unstuck. So what we did was we did a few low to no code experiments and then eventually gained a lot of conviction in what the next direction we wanted to go in. And I raised more money, hired more engineers, and then we pivoted this January to what is now this community-based platform that moves people from debt to wealth. And I never would have thought I would have started like a community, like a mobile app community that is focused on money. However, I had to listen to the data and what the users were saying, and like over and over again, people were saying that like the community was helping them reduce anxiety and helping them get unstuck. The community was getting them inspired and helping them move the needle. So that was the first thing that we built. We built this mobile debt community where people could connect with other people, share stories, get inspired. We then added on social money challenges, which allow people to make progress on their finances in a way that makes it more engaging and like slightly competitive so that it is a little bit more fun and engaging to be able to make progress on your financial journey. And then the third thing that we added was this premium product that allows people that gives them like a personalized financial roadmap and that allows them to see what the next step in their financial journey is. So if you're in debt, we help give you a plan to get out of debt effectively, to build your first emergency fund, and then to think about what the best way to start investing is. And I'll just wrap it up by sharing a quick story of how one of our users one of our favorite success stories, was able to use Snowball, and really is a really common story in the US that is kind of being overlooked right now. So, Rosie, she joined the platform during the pandemic. She is making over $90,000 a year. She lives in New York, but was feeling really anxious about her money. And she also was carrying credit card debt. And it's funny because in one of her video interviews, she shared with us that she had this real fear of becoming homeless if she lost her job, which actually isn't unfounded, right? Even though she's making over 90,000, like she has no safety net. She has all this credit card debt, and she is her family's safety net. So for her, it was really important to get to like a financially stable place. So when she joined the community, she was able to get motivated and inspired. She then joined one of the money challenges, started filling up her emergency fund. And in a few months, she was able to become credit card debt free and start saving and investing. And so, in her own words, this was life changing, like going from living month to month, living in fear, to now living and feeling confident and in control and starting to build generational wealth and kind of breaking these generational curses not curses, but like these generational patterns that sometimes people are born into. And, there are millions of people like Rosie today. 55 million Americans carry credit card debt. And 41% of college educated Americans are carrying a credit card balance of $8,000 or more. So there are millions of people like Rosie today. And we're really excited to help these Americans and these people get unstuck and start building generational wealth. So I'll pause there, and you're really excited to be here and excited to have received this award.
Awesome. Thank you on behalf of all the Roses out there that which may or may not include me as well. So just thank you for the work that you're doing. Again, people want to get involved. How can they get involved? How can they contact you?
Yeah, so if you, snowballwealth.com is where people can sign up. That would be the best way to support us. You can also search Snowball Wealth on the App Store. And if you want to be a mentor to other people with debt, or if you have debt and want to participate, that would be awesome. We're also on all of the social channels, particularly TikTok, we're Ask Snowball, and Instagram, Ask Snowball.
I love it. So listen, everyone, I told you were in for a treat. I promised it at the beginning, and I think these good folks delivered. So here's the thing, just like Tanya just said, support, right? Support. My good friend, Dr. Key from Village Market ATL says that support is a verb, right? Support is a verb. So here's my one ask of you, support them. And here's tactically how you can make that happen. One, you can become a user, a customer, or a partner. Or two, you can provide financial capital with them. You can invest. Now, here's the thing. Maybe you can't do either of those. Maybe this is not a right fit for you, and maybe you're not the use case, or maybe you're not an investor. But I think if you're watching this, you know somebody that can. I'm willing to bet a lot of money that you know someone that can, right? So I'd like for you to spend about 30 minutes to an hour either figuring out a way for you to support or going through your network to figure out who in your network can actually support them, right? Again, users, customers, or partners, or investors, right? If you can do that, and you can also get some of your other friends to buy in, I think you've done a good thing, right? If you can do that every month, like again, 30 minutes to an hour every month for 6 months straight, you're going to create a habit. You're going to create a habit around supporting awesome founders. And then because you brought in your crew of people, you're starting to create a culture around supporting diverse founders and social entrepreneurs. At Goodie Nation, this is what we call being intentionally good. You have to be intentional about supporting how you go about doing it. It's your one good hour of community service, quote unquote, per month, right? Again, awesome people doing awesome things just equals just pure awesomeness, right? So go to the link on the site right at the bottom of the screen, goodienation.org/Latino Founders Fund. You can click on their cards for more information, their website, LinkedIn profile. Also, there's a link to get a warm introduction in order to make things happen a little bit easier, or you can just follow the instructions they just gave you here on this episode. So again, Joey Womack, founder, CEO, Goodie Nation. concluding this prequel origin stories and inflection point series for the Google for Startups Latino founders from the first ever cohort. Super excited for what they're about to do and to be able to witness and walk with them on their founder journey. Stay tuned for more episodes coming up in the future, y'all. Peace out.